Hey everyone, I'm at the Hollywood Heritage Museum, which is just across the street from the Hollywood Legion Theater for Cinecon today. So I'm super excited. It's my first time ever, and I'm going to be watching about 7 movies. So yeah, this is exciting. Woohoo! I crossed the street from where I parked to get to the theater itself. According to its website, the Hollywood Legion Theater is part of the American Legion, a society dedicated to serving veterans of war, youth, and their communities, and was recently remodeled back in 2019. This is the first year Cinecon has been at this location, and in the past it's been at the Egyptian Theater, and for the last two it was strictly online. So not only is this the first time it's been at this theater, this is also the first time it's been in person since 2019. If you go to this location, you'll see plaques for several actors who've been members of this legion, including Charlton Heston, Mickey Rooney, Gene Autry, and Ronald Reagan. Inside, there's a poster for the actors and actresses that were honored at the event, including Mitzi Gaynor with the film Anything Goes, Patty McCormick for the film Kathy O, Jimmy Hunt for the film Invaders from Mars, and George Chakiris for 633 Squadron. Another cool thing, there were old World War II era war bond posters throughout the building, and these are some of the pictures I took from there. The theater itself is massive and can hold up to 482 people. The first screening at 9 a.m. was a short film called Accent on Girls, with the theater being pretty empty, most likely due to how early in the morning the screening was. Now the short itself was pretty strange. There were lots of weird dancing and music with little to no dialogue, and it kind of reminded me of the Jim Henson experimental film Timepiece, where there wasn't really a narrative, just imagery and sound. Overall, very strange film, and honestly I gave it a 2 out of 5. It was a little too weird for me. After the short was the first film of the day called Changing Husbands from 1924. Here is April Klemmer explaining a bit about the movie.
Very much looking forward to our next film, Changing Husbands, a 1924 Paramount film. The film you are about to see was described by Paramount during its release as the real inside story of why wives leave home, and the story of a woman who believed a wife's place was behind the footlights. The idea for Changing Husbands originated as a serial in the Saturday Evening Post called Rolls, and it was written by Elizabeth Alexander. And in the film, society lady Gwen Evans is bored with her married life and looks to spice things up by trying a career on the stage. She meets fellow actress Ava Graham, who is her doppelganger physically, but her exact opposite in everything else in life, and they decide to change places, and that alters the course of their lives, as we'll see. Leatrice Joy starred in the film, and appropriately enough, she was in the process of changing husbands herself. She was in the process of being separated from and divorcing John Gilbert, and Leatrice Joy plays a dual role in the film. She plays both society lady Gwen Evans and the actress Ava Graham. And she received rave reviews for her performance in this film. The film also featured 2 directors. I thought that was unusual. I'm trying to imagine co-directors working together on a film. But they were DeMille Standby's Frank Urson and Paula Reeve. And as the producer of the film, Cecil B. DeMille's fingerprints are everywhere. In addition to the trademarks of lavish settings, artistic backgrounds, and stunning clothes, DeMille assembled a team of cast and crew that earned him a solid track record at the box office for Paramount. And DeMille likes to explore marriage. He did offer quite a few different films that explored this idea, so he continues to explore in Changing Husbands the idea of romance and newness wearing off in marriage. Maybe married life isn't turning out like someone hoped. Maybe one of the spouses meets someone that they think might work better. So he really enjoyed exploring that, and we're going to see him do that from a comedic point of view in this movie.
Watching this movie was really interesting. I really liked that there was a live organ that was playing the score for it, which is a really cool and unique experience I've never done before. Overall, in regards to the movie itself, I gave it a 3 out of 5 for some comedic and funny moments, but kind of a strange premise considering how they're basically saying adultery and switching husbands and wives can actually be a good thing. It's not a terrible and bad thing. The next film was Scatterbrain from 1940, and here is Charlotte Parker explaining it up.
Scatterbrain, if you don't know, the quick synopsis here, it is a Hollywood studio goofs and signs the wrong girl, a hillbilly from the Ozarks, to a movie contract. Now, this film stars Judy Canova, one of Republic Pictures stars, and Cinecon regulars will be no stranger to Judy Canova. I know you've played a lot of films here, but anybody that doesn't know, she was one of Republic's biggest stars in the 1940s and 1950s. So Judy's big break came in Hollywood after appearing in the Busby Berkeley film In Caliente in 1935. She performs the song Lady in Red, and she's only on screen for about 60 seconds, but it was enough to make a huge impression on audiences. So she was courted by several studios after that appearance, but she ended up signing with Republic Pictures. So Scatterbrain, the film you're gonna watch, is her very first picture at Republic, and it was actually her first starring role in a feature film. And watching that, you can't tell at all. She's so natural and funny. And this film follows a common theme for Republic Pictures, where a Hollywood executive plucks sort of an every man or every woman from obscurity to make them a star. So production for Scatterbrain actually started in May of 1940, and the film was released a little over 2 months later in July. Not a very long time to film a movie. But Republic was a very well-oiled machine. They released about 40 movies a year, which is about a film a week. And to put that into perspective, studios today release between 8 to 12. So they did a lot of stuff. Judy was one of Republic's programmer feature stars, and a programmer feature was sort of the low-budget feature that would play on a double bill. So she had a 15-year run with Republic. She starred in over a dozen pictures for the studio, including Pudd'nhead, Sleepy Time Gal, Joan of Ozark, Whack from Walla Walla, Carolina Cannonball, Honey Child, which was Republic's very first 3-strip Technicolor film. She also starred in the film Untamed Heiress, which is a special one for me because that was the very first film preservation that I worked on at Paramount. By my request, by the way, because I love Judy. So in Scatterbrain, you'll get a peek into Judy's classical vocal training. She's known for playing sort of a cowpoke persona, but she was actually a classically trained singer, and you'll get a little glimpse of that today in the scene with the absolutely delightful Billy Gilbert, who plays a small role as Judy's unenthusiastic vocal coach. I love Billy Gilbert. This film also stars a host of other Republic Pictures regulars, like Alan Mowbray, who often plays a studio executive or kind of a businessman character. And in addition to being an actor, Alan Mowbray was one of the founding members of the Screen Actors Guild. You'll also see Eddie Foy Jr., who plays start that over. You'll see Eddie Foy Jr., who plays a talent scout in the film. He appeared with Judy in many films during her Republic Pictures career, and he's often sort of cast as the right-hand man to the boss. You'll also see actor Wallace Ford in this film. Wallace appeared in over 150 films during his career, and all kinds of films from Alfred Hitchcock's Shadow of the Doubt to Todd Browning's Freaks. Director Gus Mines of the film, he made his name directing over 100 shorts, many dating back to the silent era. And Scatterbrain was one of the final films that he directed. And sadly, it was the last one that he lived to see released in theaters. He died less than 2 weeks after the film came out. A month after his passing, his final film, Earl of Puddlestone, was released. So this film is part of Paramount's illustrious preservation program, which funds the preservation and restorations of 150 features and shorts every year. This film was preserved by Michelle Friedman in 2016 from the 35mm original negative, with a little help from a nitrate fine grain and a nitrate dupe negative to cover in some of the damage. Audio was sourced from the original nitrate soundtrack negative. The film looks and sounds as good as, if not better, than the day it was released. I'm thrilled that it was handpicked by Cinecon to play here, and I hope you enjoyed it.
This film was a blast. I had a great time watching it. I love the singing capabilities of Judy Cordova. She was very unique and talented with that. I also like how wacky the storyline was. There's hypnosis, yodeling, walking on ladders, all kinds of strange things going on, and I gave that a 4 out of 5 because of that, for the great singing, the acting, wacky storyline, all of it. I loved it. And the only real issue I had with it was, I thought it was a bit too silly that her contract would automatically expire if she married someone. I don't think anyone in their right mind would write a contract like that. That was just a little too silly for me. But other than that, it was great. I loved it. There was a lunch break between the films, so during that time, I went back to the Hollywood Heritage Museum to check it out. It was closed because I went on Labor Day, but it was really cool checking out the exterior and some of the signposts. And these are some images I took that have Cecil B. DeMille and several others who started and founded this as one of the original studios for Paramount. After the lunch break, the next film was Youth on Trial from 1945. And here's the star of the film, Cora Sue Collins, talking about the movie and kind of her experiences in the industry.
Today we've got something really special. This is her final motion picture before she retired from films. Is that about right?
All right.
It's called Youth on Trial, and you're one of the youth. Can you tell? I mean, right? Youth on Trial from 1945. And what do you remember about making this film, Cora Sue?
I don't remember a lot about making it. I loved seeing it again, and I really enjoyed seeing it.
And you worked with a rather famous director, Bud Bedecker. Any memories of him?
Do I ever? I first met Bud when I was in Blood and Sand. He was apprenticing under Ruben Mamoulian, who was one of the most famous directors in the world, and a stickler for authenticity. So that's the reason that in that film, Blood and Sand, the girl I played was supposed to carry a basket of fruit. Now the basket was honestly this big. I was 13 years old, I've got a basket like this on my head, full of fresh fruit. Now, can you imagine how much that weighed? They had to have a sound boom and keep guide wires carrying it, and I had to walk very carefully under the boom as it moved. No, but it was fun. So yes, I know Bud. And then Bud and my mother stayed friends. I did too. I mean, I was a little girl, but Bud was a wonderful man. He was a delight. He was highly intelligent. He was brilliant. He was handsome. He was fun. He had a wonderful house on Laurel Canyon Drive, as I recall, and I loved him a lot. So yes, I remember Bud.
I thought the movie itself was pretty strange. I didn't like how there was a student council tribunal. Felt a little weird that no one really addresses that. Except for the kid who we're supposed to dislike. I actually kind of agreed with him with that. Like, why is that a thing? That's a little strange. And I also think the gambling and whatnot should have been handled by the teachers, not students. I don't think students should really handle situations like that. I also didn't like how Tom just went so berserk, just out of nowhere. It really felt like there was 20 minutes missing from the movie. It's only about 59 minutes long, so I really feel like there's some that were missing. I gave it a 2 out of 5. It was just a little too strange and a little too I don't know, a little too far-fetched for me. The next film was Pirates of the Skies from 1939, and here's a Universal Studios archivist talking about the movie.
So I know Stan's introduced me a few times, but for those of you who don't know me, I am the senior archivist in the production archives at Universal. So I am very happy to be up here introducing a film from my own home base, which is Universal's Pirates of the Skies. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm assuming all of you are cinephiles, and you probably know your film history pretty well, so most of you are fully aware of the fact that in the 1930s, Universal, that was the era of horror and the dawn of the movie monster. And yet this action-adventure film that we're about to enjoy doesn't have any of that in it. There are no reanimated corpses, no mad and invisible scientists, no creepy mansions with beastly servants and psychotic pyromaniacs, and there's not even a reanimated corpse bride in this movie. I know, it sucks, right? And I find that interesting because Joe McDonough, who directed this film, was the assistant director for one of the most famous directors associated with Universal Horror. I know you guys all know who this man was. That's right, he did work with James Whale on all of James Whale's horror films, including Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, The Old Dark House, and Bride of Frankenstein. Not only that, McDonough would work as an assistant director on some of the most famous movies that came out of Universal, period. The four I just mentioned are obviously in that category, but he also worked on films like Murders in the Rue Morgue, Showboat, That Certain Age, and My Little Chickadee, just to name a few of them. So now, as far as is known, Pirates of the Skies is the only film that McDonough directed, but considering that this guy assisted on some of the most famous films over his 30 years in the business, I'm betting this one is going to be pretty dang good. So, with that said, I'm going to stop jabbering up here like I'm reading off of an IMDb page and let you guys go on an adventure with Air Policeman Nick Conlon and his estranged wife, Barbara. Enjoy Pirates of the Skies.
Overall, the movie itself is pretty good. It is definitely a B movie. Lots of repeat shots of planes flying over the town. Some scenes you could obviously see the model cars and people they were using. But other than that, I thought it was a great film. It's honestly not too dissimilar from a film like Top Gun, where the hero's kind of rogue character goes by his gut rather by the rules, then comes out triumphant and wins at the end. And because of that, I give it a 3 out of 5. I thought it was really entertaining. I just wish some of the scenes were more engaging. I wish I had a bigger budget. This would have been a fantastic high-budget Universal movie. But it is what it is. The next film was Our Hospitality from 1923, and here's the president of Cinecon, Stan Taffel, talking about the restoration process for this movie.
We opened our opening night. One of the films we ran was what we call a chestnut. We ran I'm losing it already. We ran The Hunchback of Notre Dame that NBC Universal restored with the help, of course, of John Marsalis. And we ran it because it was a new restoration. And even though I've seen it, I had to stay. And it was the most magnificent way to see it. Well, we're doing that again with the next feature. Most all of you have seen Our Hospitality in one form or another for many, many years. But the reason we are running it on our closing night is because it is also a new restoration, a recent restoration. And it was because my friend Serge Bromberg and all of our friends, Serge Bromberg from Lobster Films said, would you like to run a restored Keaton feature? Would I say no? So we are going to play it with the score that he commissioned to provide for the film. So here for the first time at Cinecon in our new home of the Hollywood Legion Theater, here is the new restoration by Lobster Films, Our Hospitality.
I love this film. There are some incredible stunt pieces, especially the waterfall sequence towards the end of the film. I love how dedicated Buster Keaton was to doing his own stunt work. It reminds me a lot of modern day actors, Jackie Chan and Tom Cruise. They definitely took a lot of notes from Buster Keaton here. Overall, really fun experience, and I really enjoyed this one. This to me was probably the best of all of them. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Hilarious movie. Alright, for the next film, due to how behind schedule the programming was, no one came on stage to introduce the next film, which is Star for a Night from 1936. The movie itself was okay, but I don't think it was really necessary to have all three of the children lie about their financial status. And the reason why I say that is nothing is really done with the other ones to fake their own work. Most of it is done with the singer. All we really see is the main focus on the singer, which is really, Star for a Night. That's what she is. She's becoming the star for the evening. And it's primarily focused on that relationship. It really should have just been that sister, that daughter. I really think that's what it should have been. One daughter who's been lying about her success to her mom, her siblings who are trying to be supportive, and they're there supporting characters because they were. You hardly ever see them in their own jobs or anything like that. And I also thought it was a little bit over dramatic, which kind of made it long and drawn out, even though it was this pretty short film. And it was only like an hour and 10 minutes or so. Because of all this, though, I gave it a 2.5 out of 5. It was kind of middle of the road. Some scenes were good, some scenes were bad. It could have been better. I really think if they changed the kind of premise of it, it would have been a lot better. The last movie that was on the schedule was called Manhattan Moon from 1935. But I couldn't stay, so I had to leave to go home. So unfortunately, I missed that one. So hopefully, I'll be able to find that movie and give my honest thoughts on it. But until then, obviously I can't give a scoring on that. So overall, I had a great time at Cinecon. I'm definitely going to be a perennial attendee. This was absolutely amazing and fun. Highly recommend everyone checks it out. It's really cool. You get to see some really cool people. It's a really cool event. Very, very intimate. You could walk up and talk to a lot of the people who are programming it. And you'll probably see some minor famous celebrities there too, talk with them a little bit. It's really cool for that. And if you're really obsessed with old and kind of obscure, lesser known movies, and if all that's your bread and butter, this is the place for you. And just as a recap, here are the scores I gave to all the films overall at Cinecon. The first one, Accent on Girls, the short film I saw, 2 out of 5. Changing Husbands, gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Scatterbrain, 4 out of 5. Youth on Trial, 2 out of 5. Pirates of the Skies, 3 out of 5. Our Hospitality, 5 out of 5. And Star for a Night, 2.5 out of 5. Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching today's convention highlight. This is a series of videos about the film festivals and comic conventions I'll be attending each year. So you'll see highlights from San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, this film festival, the Arthur Lions, etc. So this is the first within that series. So every year I'll be making little documentaries, if you will, about the event and cool things I saw. Alright, and if you're not already, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell to be notified when new videos are released. Once a month, I host a live stream with some fellow film fans where we discuss the best movies of the decade, which is the current series we're in. And the next one will be this coming October, and we'll be talking about our individual top 10 1990s movies. So stay tuned for that. Make sure to also subscribe to my podcast, Really Old Movies, on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, where I discuss individual films released between 1890 and 1965. New episodes of this are released Saturdays at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Letterboxd, and many, many more at Really Old Movies. Alright, thank you so much. This has been Cinecon 2022 Highlights by Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin. Take care.